Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all-new episode of PR from the Heart's Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. To be precise, we have reached episode number 40. If that is on your bingo board, that is a good bingo here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast and here at PR from the Heart, as we are fully immersed in our summer reading season, one of our favorite times of the year, here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast and here at PR from the Heart. My name is John Masiulionis, the manager of PR from the Heart and the co-host of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, joined each and every month, as always, by my faithful furry friend and companion, little Forrest. He is fully enjoying the summer. It's hard to believe that it is the month of June already. And of course, joining us as always, our other co-host on the program. You remember him and you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on the popular long-running children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which, by the way, David, I know that this is news to you when we're actually recording episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. But now, Pluto TV, which is the popular streaming platform, is actually going to be having original episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood that people can watch at any given point in time. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is their own dedicated Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood channel, of course. So again, you remember him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We know him and we love him as David Newell. David, coming off the heels of our time at the Center for Media Innovation in downtown Pittsburgh on the campus of Point Park University, we go back to what we like to call the two squares on a screen. But again, we're feeling a lot of lightness. It's the summertime, the sun's in the sky, the days are longer, and most importantly, this is a dedicated shout out to all dads out there, because Father's Day is just around the corner. So this is a shout out to all fathers, to all stepfathers, to all grandfathers, to all fathers to be, fathers in waiting, for all the fatherly figures that are out there as well too. David, you are proudly a father and you are proudly a grandfather on your end of things. So I know that not only is the summer reading season one of your favorite times of the year, but this time of the year, this countdown to Father's Day, it's got to be extra special for you, no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm also a father-in-law.
Another father-in-law. Where are my men? For all the fathers-in-law that are out there as well too. There's so many people that we have to mention. So again, for anyone who has that fatherly influence in someone's life or multiple people's lives, we hope that you are enjoying this trolley stop, this very special trolley stop, which, by the way, again, if you are new to the program, there are many new people joining our neighborhood here at PR from the Heart. If you are learning about the Bookcast, if you're watching the Bookcast for the first time, what David and I, we take the time to do each and every month is, as a little tip of the cap to David's character on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Mr. McFeely, we deliver heartfelt reviews of some of the new children's books that are available from some of the top published authors in the world of children's literature and those shining stars who are on the rise in the kid lit community. So we got that awesome same playing field, because we like to believe that everyone puts their pants on one leg at a time, right? You know, unless you're Superman or Wonder Woman, maybe you kind of hop into your pants, so to speak. And so if you want to be able to check out past editions of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, 39 trolley stops, a countless number of books that we've had the chance to be able to review over the past 3 years. So we encourage you, if you already haven't had the opportunity to do so, again, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for us here at PR from the Heart and for the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast is to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel, join the more than 15,000 members of the PR from the Heart family. We have now more than 15,000 subscribers on our official YouTube channel. Share this very special trolley stop that you are now enjoying. That is episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. And also a little tip of the cap to our friends and neighbors at Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh. Of course, as many of you know, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was shot, filmed, produced, and all that great stuff in between in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the city of bridges, of course, the Steel City. That is where David still hangs his hat in the process. And so, as we like to give back to our friends and neighbors in Pittsburgh, we give back every month to our friends and neighbors at Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh. Now, they are the Pittsburgh affiliate, the Pittsburgh branch of the largest children's non-for-profit organization in the country, Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh, provides children's books, literacy tools, developmental resources for children that come from the hard-hit sections in Pittsburgh that necessarily don't have the opportunity to some of the resources that a lot of the privileged schools and privileged children have the opportunity to receive. So again, each and every month we like to pledge our support for Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh so they can continue to be of service to more children, parents, families, and everyone who loves great children's books in the Steel City. And did you know that last year alone, Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh delivered more than 100,000 children's books to over 23,000 children in need, especially during the summer reading season. David, this is the time where we want to do our part to not create the summer slide. Because if you're familiar with what the summer slide is that, during the summertime, kids there's more things that they can do. They can go to the amusement park. They can go to the baseball game. They can do everything but read. So we want to make sure that we remind all parents, all caregivers, all educators of the importance of reading during the summer, spending that quality bonding time with your little one, with your grandson, with your grandchild, so that in essence, you can do your part to set your child up for the greatest chance of success so they're on a better trajectory once the school bell rings once again. So we encourage all of you, remember, no donation is too large, no donation is too small. Head on over to rifpittsburgh.org. That's rifpittsburgh.org/donate. We've included the link in the description below. And again, remember, no donation is too large, no donation is too small. And again, David, this is a really key time of the year for kids, because it's the summertime. They get, school's out for the summer, as Alice Cooper once sang many years ago and still does because he is still on tour. But again, this is a really important time because it's the summer reading season, and this is the time where kids can spend more time with their father, with their stepfather, with their grandfather, the fatherly influence in their life. So it's a really, really, really special time of the year for kids.
It certainly is. And it'd be great if the whole year were the reading season. And we try to encourage that too, but summer, there is more time for reading. And I remember when our kids were small, we would set up a time for reading, whether it be in the morning or at night before bed. There was always a reading session. And to this day, our daughter is the best reader in the family. She reads constantly. And I like to say we had a little part in getting her engaged in books. And the boys do too, but our daughter is the super reader, I should say. But we have some books to talk about today, right?
We are, and they are not only one book, but this is a 2-book bookcast here to kick off the summer reading season on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. We've already officially kicked off the summer reading season through our sister program, the Children's Book Spotlight series. We are taking the time to share 2 brand new heartfelt children's books from an amazing Christian children's author. And David, over the past 3 years that we have been doing the Neighborly Reviews bookcast together, you, myself, and little Forrest joined in along the way as well. We've had the chance to spotlight some great Christian children's authors. Most recently, Simone Anderson, who of course is in the midst of her 12 children's books in 12 months mission. We had the opportunity to sit down in studio with her at the Center for Media Innovation in downtown Pittsburgh for our last trolley stop, episode number 39. So we encourage you, if you missed that, you can watch Simone's episode. But we are taking the time today on episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast. This particular trolley stop, I feel like Casey Kasem, as I like to say, this is a long distance dedication that's going out to Stephen Singleton right outside of Houston, Texas. I think that's how Casey Kasem sounded. So Stephen Singleton, he is a proud Christian and U.S. Navy vet. He was raised in South Carolina. After almost 9 years of active military service, he decided to join the reserves and pursue his dreams of creative writing and releasing children's books. And so he's also a new father on his end of things. And so on episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, we are going to be sharing, reviewing, spotlighting his 2 new children's books, In Jesus' Name, the illustrations by Stefan not only wrote the book, but he also co-illustrated it with Isabella Lessa. And then we are going to be also sharing, reviewing, and spotlighting Just Like Dad, which is illustrated by Saad Jamal. And of course, again, we encourage all of you, if you're already curious about these books, you've seen the cover arts already on screen, we encourage all of you, one of the ways that you can pledge your support for Stefan, you can head on over to his official website and his official Amazon page. We've got you covered in the links, the description below. So this way you can continue to pledge your support for Stefan, especially by leaving 5-star reviews on Amazon. Remember that one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Stefan and all of the great children's authors that we feature here on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, be sure to head on over to Amazon.com if that's your favorite online vehicle of your choosing, and leave a 5-star review for both In Jesus' Name and Just Like Dad. But you might be saying, John and David, I haven't heard about the books yet. How do I know if I can leave a 5-star review if you haven't even talked about the books yet? This is the part of the Bookcast where we take the time to crack the cover and dive into the pages of the heartfelt children's books that we are sharing. So again, David, officially, we continue to commence. That's a word that many people are sharing and saying because there's a lot of graduation ceremonies happening right now. So we move forward on episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Let us dive into the pages of Stefan's first children's book, In Jesus' Name, which once again, co-illustrated by Stefan, in addition to illustrated by Isabella Lessa as well, his fellow co-illustrator.
At the very beginning of the book, In Jesus' Name, there are bios of Stefan and Isabella. And it's interesting, and Isabella in her bio says the children's book illustrations are somewhat magical. They can magnify children's imaginations, and that's so true. And they are usually, I've never thought of this before, but they're usually children's first contact with art, because most children's books are lusciously illustrated, and these two books certainly are. And she says that's why she loves what she does so much. The illustrations introduce children to the world of art and story and imagination. Well, the book begins with Sebastian. I would say he would be early elementary, and he walks into the kitchen and he tells his parents that he's ready to say his prayers. And he and his dad walk to Sebastian's room. Well, before bed, Sebastian tells his dad that he doesn't think he did well on his spelling quiz. Well, his dad said, well, you studied hard. I know you did well, says Dad. But Sebastian said, well, I get nervous when I take quizzes. And his dad says, well, when we pray tonight, I'm going to show you the real secret of prayer. And that night, his dad said that when you finish your prayers, end it with, in Jesus' name. Well, Sebastian was a little confused, and Dad said, you have to have faith that God will answer your prayers. Well, they gave it a try, and Sebastian asked for a passing grade on his quiz. When he got his quiz back at school the next day, he saw he got an A. He couldn't believe that the advice his dad gave him really worked. From then on, Sebastian always ended his prayers in Jesus' name. Well, next, he thought, well, I got an A. Next, Sebastian prayed for his favorite ice cream. And the favorite ice cream was orange cream blast with a cherry on top. That sounds good.
Delicious. That sounds delicious.
Well, the ice cream lady stopped her truck, and Sebastian was able to get his favorite ice cream. Well, the next day, he was unable to find his favorite blue blanket, and he stopped and prayed he would find it. Just then, his mom called from the laundry room and said, I found your blanket. I found your blanket. It was in the laundry room. And on his birthday, on Sebastian's birthday, now I haven't heard of this game, but Sebastian wanted a new Mogo game. And I don't know what that is, but it sounds interesting. It's a Mogo game. There must be a new one. But instead of wishing for it, when he blew out the candles on his birthday cake, he decided he would pray. And the next to last box, the last box that he opened at his party was, of all things, the Mogo game. He got it. Later in the day, when his dad came home, he told his dad that he was sad, and he prayed like you told me. Sebastian said, I prayed like you told me, and all my prayers were answered, but then I prayed for a friend, and God didn't answer my prayer. Dad said, we have to be patient with God's timing, even when it is not aligned with ours. But at least you know he is listening. So that night, after he and his dad said prayers, Sebastian prayed one more time, asking God for a friend. I don't have any friends at school. Please send me a friend. And the next day, at recess, a kid that he had never seen before walked up to Sebastian and asked Sebastian to play horse. Now, I guess that's another game, that maybe a physical game. Oh, it's with basketball.
Basketball. So in essence, when you don't make the shot, if I'm not mistaken, let's say you're just starting the game and you don't make the shot, then you get the H. So it's kind of like hangman meets basketball. So you get, and then the first person to get HORSE loses, and then the other person is the winner. I haven't played horse in a long time, but I'm going back to my old childhood memory bank on that, David.
Well, that's something I've learned. Well, he asked me to play horse. The kid was holding a basketball, so that makes sense. BJ was holding a basketball. His name is really Benny, but everybody calls me BJ. And Sebastian knew that God had listened to his prayer. He was patient and allowed God to do what he does in his own time. Then, when recess was over, the teacher called the kids inside the classroom, and Sebastian decided to ask BJ if he wanted to come to his house and play the new Mogo game. And that would be great, said BJ. And they gave each other a fist pound, the famous fist pound that's common these days. And here is the last line, and this is a short book, but the last line in the story is, Sebastian laughed and joked with his new friend as they walked back into the classroom. And that's how it ends. And so, in a way, I guess, faith and prayer answered Sebastian's quest for a new friend. And so BJ arrived, and I think it's a short story. It's not very long, but the illustrations really support the story. And again, the illustrations are done by one more time. We have her name here, Isabella, right?
Isabella Lessa. And and David, thank you for providing a beautiful snapshot of In Jesus' Name. One of the touching things at the very end of the story, this story is actually dedicated to Benny Osworth Anderson Jr., aka BJ. So at the very end of the story, Stephen beautifully shares this passage. I often think about how our lives would have been as grown men, but God had different plans for you and me. We became friends in the second grade, and before I knew it, I had a brother for 10 years. My life has not been the same since the day you left this world. I thank God for the season you were here. You taught me to be myself, have confidence, and be kind to others. Thank you for the laughs and good times together. Your Anderson and Mullins, South Carolina families miss you. Rest in paradise, my brother. Save a spot for me. So BJ was not very old at all when he passed.
No.
Born January 11th, 1991, and he passed March 23rd, 2010. So that would have made him, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 19 years old.
Something, yes.
This is a beautiful way to honor and commemorate the life of BJ, so that in essence, his memory, his legacy lives on through Jesus' name. So wanted to be able to take the time to give a special shout out to not only to BJ, but also to his family as well too. This is one of the many reasons why I like this book, is not only because it's very heartfelt. It really comes from not only from the heart of Stephen, but from his soul in many respects.
Yes.
Is the fact that one of the gifts of a father is to be able to provide safety, security, and comfort for a child, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the many ways that fathers and father figures, whether it be father, stepfather, grandfather, father figure, can do that is by helping their son or their daughter connect to their faith, and then even more so to strengthen their faith. So I really like the simple inclusion of and even if necessarily if someone isn't Christian or if someone isn't Catholic, a lot of people pray, in many ways, shapes, and forms, right? And I really like the added touch of the extra intention of in Jesus' name. It's kind of like, when you're sealing an envelope, right? And let's say you kind of give it that final press to make sure that it's, you don't get those little ripples on the back of the envelope, right? I actually, which by the way, when I send out cards, I use Scotch tape on the back. I don't lick the envelope. I just put like a piece of Scotch tape on the right side, a piece of Scotch tape on the left side, a piece of Scotch tape on the center, and that's good to go. But it's a really sweet, adorable book. Again, it's a very short story, but it's a very poignant story. It's a very powerful story. And I really, again, also love the illustrations. It's interesting because, again, you talk about opening up the childhood memory bank. When Sebastian is racing to the laundry room and he's finds out the fact that here's his blue blanket. I remember Linus. If you remember Linus, yes. From the Peanuts, he had his blue blanket. That was more of his trusted sense of comfort and safety and security as well too. And you can really see as well how Sebastian is an empath. He's a very sensitive. So like he takes the time. A lot of times, people may say, God send me the $5 million. God send me the beautiful girlfriend. And there's nothing wrong with praying for those things. But to take the time to pray for people in need. I know one of the things that I love to do, and I'm finally having the chance after a couple of weeks to be able to head back. In San Diego, in downtown San Diego, we have a beautiful cathedral, St. Joseph's Cathedral, and they have many areas where you can light candles. And I'm the guy that has the list of like 30 people that I pray for. And David, I have not shared this with you at all until right now. But every time that I go to St. Joseph's Cathedral, I actually light a candle for you and your family. I have.
Well, thank you.
So this is a perfect time to be able to share this on air.
Thank you very much. Yes, you're not just sharing it with me; you're sharing it with about 15,000 other people.
Yep. We're putting it out here on episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. But that is, and again, if you have loved In Jesus' Name and you want to be able to get your copy for your little one, whether it be if you are a father, you want to be able to read this book to your son or to your daughter for Father's Day and beyond. This book just doesn't have a shelf life for Father's Day. It goes beyond that. If you are a grandparent, if you are a grandfather and you want to read this to your grandson or your granddaughter, it's a great book in the process. We encourage you, again, you can head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. You can leave a 5-star review for In Jesus' Name. Because again, that's one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Stephen, to let him know that he's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. If you head on over to your favorite local library, your favorite children's or independent bookstore, and they do not stock their copy of In Jesus' Name, you can make that kind recommendation. Let them know that you heard about In Jesus' Name on episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. And this is also a great book, especially for those who are in charge of youth and family ministry programs, Sunday schools. It's a great book to be able to integrate and weave it into your curriculum there. So we head into Stefan's second book. And again, here we are, we're talking Father's Day just around the corner. But again, the next installment, the next children's book that we're going to be sharing, spotlighting, reviewing here in episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Again, Stephen Singleton's Just Like Dad. Now, you really have to suspend disbelief a little bit, David, because when you look out here in San Diego and even in Pittsburgh right now, here in the month of June, you don't see any snow anywhere. Maybe in other parts of the world, you might see snow. So when you see the cover art, as you just saw a few moments ago on screen, you have to suspend disbelief in knowing the fact that, there is snow during the course of this story. It is it is a winter themed story, but the heart, the intention, the purity, the soul signature of this story is something that lasts not only just beyond Father's Day, not only beyond the winter time, but all year long. So let us crack the cover and dive into the pages of Just Like Dad, written by Stephen Singleton and illustrated by Syed Jamal.
Well, Stephen dedicates his book to his wife, Amber, thanking her for the support and love she has given him. And he adds, "You will always be my everything." And I think right off the bat, that is a great example for their son. And in the book, Just Like Dad, I am sure that the representation of Stephen, that's Stephen. At any rate, this is really a picture book. There's not a lot of text.
Nope.
But what text there is supported by colorful artwork. And as you said earlier, the illustrations are done by Syed Jamal, correct? Okay. Well, let me see where. Okay. I said it's really a picture book, not a lot of text. But for instance, the books begin with Dad shaving in the morning, and alongside him in the illustration is his young son pretending to shave. And I would say this son was probably early elementary, 8 or 9, something like that. And just like his dad, he says, "My dad shaves in the morning, and so do I." Pretend shaving.
Yep.
And I remember doing that too, shaving along with my dad. On the next page, the illustration by Syed shows his dad giving his mom a kiss, and the son says, "And so she gets 2." In other words, the dad kisses mom and the son kisses mom, and so she gets 2. And I thought that was very clever. And the next illustration shows his dad mowing the lawn, and his son likes to help. Now, I remember our sons helping me mow the lawn, and I was more concerned with them. I wanted to get them out of the way of the lawnmower, so but they helped, so I figured it out. I cut the lawn, didn't use the grass catcher, and I had them rake the lawn. So they helped, but they were not near the lawnmower. As they grew older, they learned how to use it. Well, and that showed Dad mowing the lawn, and then there's one where Dad gets sleepy, and the son lets out a big yawn. Oh, and on the next page, it shows Dad teaching the son to help others. And that illustration shows the son helping the older person across the street. And the next page, let's see it. Oh, I know. It shows the dad showing the son how to get up after he falls. And another page shows that Dad always make sure that we both dress with style. And you're in style today with your new jacket. And the illustration shows them both in matching suits. But Dad is wearing a regular tie, and I thought it was interesting in the illustration that the son is wearing a bright red bow tie. And there's an illustration of Dad with a cape uniform, sort of like Superman, and that's the son visualizing his dad in a Superman uniform, and it's an imagination. The caption reads, "I'm the protector of my family, just like my dad." In a way, he's saying my super dad. And as the reader progresses through the book, they will see pages with a son saying, "When my dad gets mad, I get mad too. And if I make a mistake, my dad makes it a learning experience. He'll sit down and say, now we have to learn from this mistake." And that in itself is just a wonderful lesson. That alone, learning from your mistakes, if the book can give that little bit of help to a child, it's worth the whole read, I think.
100%.
Well, continuing through the book, the son says, "In times of confusion, Dad is the first place I turn." Then there are wonderful pages showing Dad and son playing together and cooking together and having the family meal together with Mom, Dad, and son, the family unit. And then the son adds at dinner, he likes to drink, the son likes to drink orange soda at dinner, and with lots of ice. I love that too. I loved orange soda with ice for whatever reason. And at bedtime, Dad and son always say our prayers, and Dad reassures his son that God is listening to all his thoughts and prayers. And as Dad closes his son's door, the son falls asleep. And on the last page, the illustration shows the son asleep, dreaming of his dad. And there's a little cloud, a dream cloud with his dad, and his dad is wearing a suit. And the text below says, "One day I'll be just like my dad, because that's what I pray for." And that was a short book, but so much wisdom and advice and support in that book, just like my dad. And I think the modeling of the dad is perfect, I think. And there's a story I think I keep telling you a lot about when Fred Rogers went to visit an art class, and the kids were doing sculptures that day, and there was a sculptor in showing the kids how to make sculptures, and the sculptor didn't tell them what to do. He just went ahead and molded the clay, and it said from that day on to the end of the semester, children's artwork was 100% different and improved. And my point being that if you love doing something you love in front of children, they'll catch your love, they'll catch that enthusiasm. And I think in a way that's what the dad in the book does. His son caught his love for his son.
Well, it's interesting because there is synergy to what you just shared to one of the calling cards of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, almost since day one, is that, children's love of reading is caught.
Yes, not taught.
Exactly. So you see how things kind of come full circle. I really feel that, again, the book doesn't have many words.
No.
It has a good amount of illustration spreads, but it really gets to the heart. It really cuts to the core of the bond between father and son. And a son growing up, and most children growing up, if they're a son, the first fatherly influence, the first masculine influence is their father. So there's that curiosity. This is probably not the best example to mention, but I remember growing up, and back in the day, Jenny beer. I don't know if they serve that in the Pittsburgh, but there's a well-known beer that was in Buffalo called Jenny Cream Ale. And I remember I had like a little teeny tiny sip, because I don't know if it was my father or it was my grandfather, but I remember like, hey, what does this taste like? And I did not like the taste of it at all, needless to say. So thankfully I did not go down that route, if that makes sense. But and this is why it's also important. One of the things that I really love about Just Like Dad and Stefan's book is the fact that you're really reminding your children that they are watching everything that you're doing. They're modeling, so to be able to be the highest and best version of yourself, right? So when you take the time to talk to a person, you show kindness to that person. When you are, walking into the grocery store, and maybe it's the old school doors, like not the automated ones, you got to actually, physically open the door. You let the other person, that is maybe behind you, maybe open up the door for them, that kind of thing. To be able to just continue to show kindness, respect, empathy, compassion, and just to also enjoy the times. So again, we live in a society where it's kind of like, you blink your eyes. Like, I know that I was just mentioning this to you previously. This summer technically is the 25th anniversary of when I graduated from high school. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's let me see her do the math. It's the 29-year anniversary when I graduated from grammar school. And so it's a matter of like, you blink your eyes, and here, you fast forward 25 years, you fast forward 29 years. Children grow up so fast, like little Forrest. I know, I'm not blessed to be a father just yet in the earthly realm, in the human capacity, but, I have little Forrest here, right? Little Forrest is, enjoying a nice little siesta on his end of things.
You better tell some people who little Forrest is, if this is their first visit.
Well, little Forrest is my pride and joy. He is the jewel in my heart. He is my little Shih Tzu Maltese who came into my life in November of 2022. So it's hard to believe, because in just a few short months, little Forrest will be turning.
Oh boy, that was speedy. Exactly. And so, just being, what the story reminds us is the fact, take the time to just enjoy the moments with your children. I mean, whether you have a son or a daughter, you have twins, you have, multiple children. If you have stepchildren, you see one of the illustration spreads, the father and son are, playing Frisbee with one another. They're taking the time to cook chicken and rice. And also as well, noting the fact, I remember one of the big lessons that my father taught me growing up. He said, John, we all make mistakes, but try not to make the same mistake more than once. I remember that was one of the most poignant pearls of wisdom that he taught me as a child, right? And so it's important because, again, noting the fact that our kids are watching whatever it is that we're doing, it's important to really pass along that wisdom, those lessons. I really feel this is where children's books really come in handy, because let's say if maybe you didn't necessarily have a strong bond with your father, right? And there's a lot of children out there that's the case for them. Or, maybe they necessarily didn't receive the love that they wanted growing up, right? To take the time, have the conversation. This is why this kind of children's book, and many children's books like Just Like That and in Jesus' name, they're great conversation starters with kids. There's something about children's books where you can go back to. And the important thing is, again, especially, for all of those, for those fathers to be and fathers in waiting, right? This is a matter of, you can do your part right now, before your son, before your daughter comes into your life, to take the time and start saying, okay, well, how am I going to act? How am I going to lead my life?
when they come into the world, right? So you can already start practicing. I like to say that, like, I've been practicing with little Forrest so that when my son ends up coming in, that I'm a little bit more prepared. I kind of joke around about this a little bit, David, because like I remember I got an orchid. I think a couple of years ago, I got an orchid. I said, I'm ready for more responsibility. I'm going to get an orchid. And then, and then bring in the dog and then bring in my son, going in that order instead of the opposite order. Well, the orchid experience didn't turn out that well, because I remember I'm like, I'm going to go put the orchid outside for a little bit. And that doesn't really work. No, it does not work well.
Not even in San Diego do they grow outside.
Nope. So I kind of, the orchid experience was not the greatest, but little Forrest is doing really well. In fact, I got a really nice compliment the other day when I forget where I took him, but they said, little Forrest looks really healthy and he looks really loved. And I said, that really means a lot to me.
Well, I just happened to think of something you said, and once Fred Rogers was asked in one word, what do you think is the most important thing you could tell children or tell about children? And he said, listen. Just listen to what children have to say. Put down your newspaper, turn your computer off, and just listen. You can learn so much about what that child happens to be thinking. So listening is an important piece of advice. And in some ways, the story says that in different ways. But I thought it was a delightful book. And, my description of it makes it seem like it has more text, but it doesn't. To describe that, you have to just use more words to describe it than the book actually has. But I think both of these books would be a wonderful, and you said it earlier too, sort of communication starters or discussion starters.
Conversation starters, yep.
Conversation starters, yes. And you can maybe learn a lot about what your child may be thinking just through the reading a book and asking questions, and ask them if they have questions, and to listen.
Agreed. And this was, we're huge proponents of fatherhood. We're a big supporter of all of the dads out there. Not only the dads, but the stepdads. Let me make sure that we have everyone covered. We fathers, grandfathers, stepfathers, father-in-laws, dads to be, dads in waiting, those who have those fatherly figures, those who have lost a fatherly figure as well too. There's always some sort of strong masculine influence in our lives, and especially we honor all dads out there, all fatherly figures, not only leading into Father's Day, but beyond. So again, one of the many ways that you can not only show your support for all the dads and the fatherly figures out there, but also pledge your support for an amazing dad in his own right in Stephen Singleton, is to be able to head on over to Amazon.com, purchase your copies of In Jesus' Name and Just Like Dad. They are now available. If Amazon.com is your preferred online vehicle of choosing, one of the many ways you can pledge your support is by leaving 5-star reviews for In Jesus' Name and Just Like Dad, to let Stephen know that he's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books as well too, because these are, perfect books for the season and beyond. Because especially again, a lot of dads are spending time with their kids out there during the summer. But again, we want to emphasize the fact that this is a book that you can go to at any given point in time. Mother's Day books are not just meant for Mother's Day. Father's Day books are not necessarily meant for Father's Day. So big shout out to all the dads out there, and especially those who are weaving in and integrating their faith, that are showing up for their kids, taking the time to let them know that you're loved, that you're supported just the way that you are. And of course, everything that we talk about in some way, shape, or form weaves into Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was a great dad, and he loved to spend time with his kids. And I remember, I forget where it was like a summer refuge for the kids, but he brought him and his wife, and there was this area by the water, and he would bring his kids there every year. Do you remember where that was, David?
In Massachusetts. Nantucket. Is that what you're
Nantucket,
talking
I was
about?
just going to say Nantucket. Yeah.
Yes, and they love to go, just a family, and just spend the summer just relaxing and reconnecting in a way. And the water means so much to Fred. I think he's a Pisces, and I think Pisces are. But there was a little part of the ocean in front of their house, backwater of the, and he could. It was calm enough where he could swim his laps. He swam a mile a day religiously. That was his jogging. And
in some way, shape, or form, and we'll conclude with this momentarily. I still feel that Fred in a past life must have met Ponce de Leon, because somehow he managed to weigh 143 pounds for his entire natural adult life, and that was Fred's way of connecting with the fountain of youth. So this has been a magical trolley stop, and of course, there are many more magical trolley stops to come, but this particular trolley stop is about to come to a conclusion, because when we hear the trolley, that means that it is time to go. But again, fear not, many more magical trolley stops to come. We're going to put a bow in that momentarily. Again, if you haven't had the opportunity to do so, if you have loved these books, by the way, because we have, and you know how we can say how we love our books? We like to raise our hands. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 40 on the Neighborly Reviews book. Myself, Hans, and David pause up from Little Forrest when Little Forrest loves to recommend a children's book to not only his fellow doggy friends, but to all of our fellow friends and neighbors out there across the country and around the world. One of the fastest growing recommendations in the world of children's literature is when Little Forrest gives 2 paws up. It's kind of like his way of saluting Siskel and Ebert, the old critic back. And when they loved a movie, they gave it 2 thumbs up. Little Forrest gives In Jesus' Name and 2 paws up for In Jesus' Name and 2 paws up for Just Like Dad. If this trolley stop has helped you, if it's lifted your spirits, if you feel that the messages of In Jesus' Name and Just Like Dad need to be shared with someone in need, one of the many ways, again, if you haven't had the chance to do so, to pledge your support for Stefan, for PR from the Heart, for us here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, is to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel, to share this very special trolley stop that you haven't been enjoying. That is episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast as well. But David, again, there are many more magical trolley stops to come, especially, we have one more month in our summer reading season, then we're going to be heading into an extra special season. Not only is it the back to school season, which is also one of our favorite times of the year, right? I know there's probably a lot of kids out there and parents and educators that are saying, John, the school bell just rang for the summer. Let's not rush the summer. No, we are enjoying every single moment of the summer reading season here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast and PR from the Heart. But we are super excited because at the very end of July and throughout the month of August, we're going to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. We have been of service to children's authors from across the country and around the world for 10 years. So some very extra special trolley stops. We're going to be mentioning one of those momentarily. But again, we also want to give a little tip of the cap, of course, to our friends and neighbors at Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh. We are privileged and proud and blessed and honored to pledge our support each and every month to Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh. And they are the Pittsburgh chapter of the largest national non-for-profit children's literacy organization in the country. They provide children's books, developmental resources, literacy tools for children across Pittsburgh that come from hard-hit areas in the Steel City. Did you know that last year alone, Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh delivered over 100,000 children's books to over 23,000 children in need? Remember, let's do our part to make sure that kids throughout Pittsburgh are fully supported during this summer reading season and beyond. Head on over to rifpittsburgh.org. That's RIF Pittsburgh.org/donate. No donation is too large. No donation is too small. And again, that's just one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for us here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. That's our way of tipping our cap to, of course, the great city of Pittsburgh. We had the opportunities to spend some time there for our past 2 trolley stops on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, episode number 38 and episode number 39. With our friends and neighbors at the Center for Media Innovation in downtown Pittsburgh. So again, great city, a lot of wonderful kids that really are the future of the city of Bridges, the Steel City, in the process. So again, that's one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for the good folks in Pittsburgh as well. But again, if you are a children's author and you would love for David and I to share your brand new children's book, to deliver a heartfelt review of your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, we encourage you to head on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com. You can connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on our screen. Instagram, Facebook, X, all at PR from the Heart. Of course, we are also going to be celebrating the 6-year anniversary of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, which is our fellow sister program. We have the opportunity each and every week to be able to interview some of the top award-winning, best-selling children's authors, ranging from celebrity authors to New York Times bestsellers to children's authors whose journeys and missions are just taking flight. And we are excited because just premiering this week is our sit-down interview. You love him each and every day on NBC's Today Show. Craig Melvin joins me for a special sit-down conversation on the Children's Book Spotlight Series to talk about his brand new children's book, I'm Proud of You, courtesy of our friends and neighbors at Harper Kids. So if you are a children's author, if you are a middle grade author and would love to connect and have the opportunity to appear on the Children's Book Spotlight Series, where you can share your inspiring story and the release of your brand new children's book on the Children's Book Spotlight Series, we've got some great trolley stops forthcoming. You can connect with us via our official website, again, prfromtheheart.com, and any of our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and X. And again, as we are proudly celebrating our 10-year anniversary, we are already looking ahead to the back-to-school season. We've been looking ahead to the holiday season and 2025. Sooner than we know it, 2025 is just going to be around the corner, and we're already starting to plan in advance because many children's authors, their dreams, their visions are taking flight, whether it be the seasoned authors who are putting out their second, their third, or their 10th children's book, or if you are releasing your first children's book. If you are looking for dedicated PR publicity support for the release of your new children's book, whether it be to facilitate a book media tour in your neighborhood or to facilitate a national book media tour, connect with us via our official website, prfromtheheart.com. Schedule your courtesy connection call. Let us see how we can be of service to you. And one other thing that we wanted to mention as well, we are super excited for all of you who are enjoying the official PR from the Heart newsletter. If you want to find out exclusive news here at PR from the Heart, including which books we're going to be featuring on forthcoming editions of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast before anyone else, you can head on over to prfromtheheart.com, subscribe to our official newsletter, and you get a free gift. For all children's authors, for those who love great children's literature, we are giving you a free gift of 3 simple yet powerful summer PR publicity book tips for children's authors. That is your free gift simply by subscribing to our official online newsletter. Again, one final time, I think we got all the housekeeping notes out of the way. And I like to tell David, I don't do this with a prompter. This is all up here and all right in my heart, so to speak. So again, if you haven't had the chance to do so, purchase your copies. Head on over to Amazon.com. In Jesus' Name, Just Like Dad, the 2 great children's books that are now available from Stephen Singleton. If Amazon.com is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Stephen. Technically, 2 of the many ways you could pledge your support for Stephen is by leaving 5-star reviews for In Jesus' Name and Just Like Dad. Again, you can let Stephen know in the process that he's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. David, before we officially put the bow on episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, what is it that you've learned today?
I think these 2 books just go along with the other books that we have reviewed over the many years. And it just shows the importance of stressing reading to children. We can't forget that. That's what I like about the Bookcast, is if any progress we can make in keeping reading in the lives of children, I think we've made a step in the right direction. And that's what I've taken away, not only from this Bookcast, but from the other ones that we have done over the past couple years. We've done about 40 books now, do you think?
Well, 40 Bookcast episodes. I'm doing the loose math, and actually, I think when we reconnect for episode number 41, I'm going to get the exact number. But because there were some Bookcasts back in the day where we actually did 3 books.
Yes.
There were several 3-book bookcasts as well. So just doing the numbers, if you take 2 times 12, that's 24. 24 times 3, we're quickly approaching probably close to 100 children's books
that we've talked about over these years.
Yes, and we have shared, reviewed, spotlighted on the program. And again, remember, if this program is all new to you, you can head on over to PR from the Heart's official website, prfromtheheart.com, and our official YouTube channel. You can go back to the very beginning. You can go back to February 2021, if I'm not mistaken, which is when David and I, that's when we were still in the midst of the pandemic. That's how long this program has actually been going. And we are continuing on with many more magical trolley stops to come as we have hit that elusive number of 40. But again, of course, when we hear the trolley, that means that it is time to go. We want to thank you for your continued support of PR from the Heart, for your continued support of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, for your continued support of children's authors and illustrators across the country and around the world, just like Stephen Singleton, who are doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. For David, I know that you love when I say this, for local libraries and children's and independent bookstores, because they are the pillars of our community.
That's right.
Very much are. But above all else, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world. We have felt his spirit. We feel his spirit every day here at PR from the Heart. Every episode, every trolley stop here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Little tip of the cap, once again, to our favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers. As I had mentioned previously, I feel that in many respects, the man somehow found the fountain of youth, whether it be as the result of praying every evening. Mr. Rogers did that. He swam every day. Somehow he remained incredibly youthful, and he weighed 143 pounds for his entire natural adult life. And that was, in many respects, one of his ways, in the words of Tom Junod, his dear friend, he said that was Fred's private numerology. His way of saying I love you was 143. There's 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. So as little Forrest was very kind enough to spend some quality time with us here in our neighborhood, and David, as you were, again, as always, kind enough to spend some time with us here in our neighborhood, as a little tip of the cap to Mr. Rogers, we share our favorite 3 numbers of 243. There are 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. That is our reminder to you that we like you, that we love you just the way that you are special, that you are loved, that you are whole, that you are healthy, that you are complete. That we like you, that we love you just the way that you are, that we see your divine worth, we see your inherent value, that we like you, and that we love you just the way that you are. So again, many more magical trolley stops to come, not only on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, but all across PR from the Heart. And we're looking forward to sharing some more special news, magical moments, some cool announcements over the course of the coming weeks ahead. This is really the absolute best time to stay connected with us here at PR from the Heart and us here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. So for Little Forrest, for David Newell, for myself, John Masiulionis, we hope that you have enjoyed episode number 40 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, as we have proudly shared, reviewed, and spotlighted Stephen Singleton's In Jesus' Name and Just Like Dad. Thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye. Speedy delivery.